5. One day, when I was 12 years old, I was home alone with my little brother, who was 4 at the time. I was watching TV when I heard knocks on the front door. My little brother was sleeping in his room. My mum told me not to answer the door, so I just ignored it. The knocks stopped after a few minutes, so I thought that the person had left. About an hour later, someone knocked on the door again, and I ignored it again. Then, I heard something that still scares me to this day. Someone whispered through the mailbox, "I know you're alone, little boy, and I'm going to kill you." I immediately ran to the phone and called 911. The police were on their way, but I knew the man had enough time to break the door and kill me and my little brother before the police arrived. So I screamed. I called 911 and the police were on their way. Then, I packed a kitchen knife and I stood in the living room until the police arrived. The man never got caught. After a few months, we moved to Florida, and I still didn't tell my little brother about this, and he is now 13 years old. Number 4. This encounter happened about 2 months ago, and still freaks me out. As a 20-year-old female, I often find myself staying at my boyfriend's apartment overnight. My boyfriend is 23, and his mum moved in with him 6 months ago because she lost her job and needed support. My boyfriend's mum often stays out very late and comes home early in the morning. She'll come through the door sometimes around 5 AM, and Ryan usually gets up and lets her inside because she either leaves her key or cannot find it. My boyfriend has 3 locks on his door, and sometimes we leave them all unlocked, so we don't have to get up and let her in. I know, this is a huge mistake, but it's something we've done in the past. This particular night, I passed out about 11, and Ryan went to bed about 1 AM. I am a very light sleeper, so I wake up to just about anything, and found myself awoken at about 3 AM to knocking. But it promptly stopped, and I assumed it was probably his cat making noise. His apartment is very small, so his front door is only about 6 steps from his bedroom door. Anyway, I didn't think much of it, and rolled back into my boyfriend's arms and fell asleep. Around 4:30, I heard stomping up the stairs, and the front door opening, but it was caught by the chain lock. This has happened before, and his mum screams out his name, and he'll get up and open the door for her. But she didn't scream out his name. This was really odd to me. Regardless, I got up to answer the door. I made my way to the door, and was greeted by 2 men that I've never seen before, staring at me through the crack with a hand on the inside, fiddling with the chain lock. I screamed and slammed the door shut and locked the deadbolt. My boyfriend came running out of the room like a bat out of hell, wondering what was going on. I explained the best I could, and called the cops soon after. They showed up about 20 minutes later, but the guys weren't there anymore. The cops checked our back deck and found hand and footprints in the snow from someone climbing up the back of it. I still have no idea who these guys were, but I often wonder if his mum has any part in it. His mum often hangs around sketchy people, and not too long ago, had some guys say he'd send a gang after her for breaking up with him. Nothing has happened since, but every night, we make sure everything is locked up before we sleep. Number 3. This happened several years ago, when I was 12 or 13. I was a fairly short kid, and had recently dyed my hair for the first time. I was extremely unfit, and despised the 30-minute walk home from my school. Usually, I would get my mum to pick me up. However, I was having a friend over that day, and my mum was working late, so we decided to walk. I'd like to note that we were both very young girls and spent the entire walk up to this point laughing and talking about band members we found attractive. A couple of streets away from my house is an extremely busy main road. No one ever slows down or stops on it unless you have a house there, which is uncommon because most of them burnt down a few years ago. We were walking when a large black car with heavily tinted windows pulled over beside us and rolled down the driver's side window. Inside was a Middle Eastern man in his mid to late 40s. "Hey, you want a lift home?" he asked in a seemingly friendly voice. But something wasn't right though. Something felt off. "No thank you." We backed away, but stupidly stayed there. "Come on, I'll drop you home." The convincing went on for several minutes before we half walked, half ran away, considering my house was only a couple of streets away. He seemed annoyed when we speed walked off, but we just brushed off. After my mum got home, we told her and she called the police. We hadn't got a plate number, but the police patrolled the area anyway. The next month, I bought a newspaper for a project in religious studies. On the front was a picture of the man from the car, along with 3 others. Turns out, they were involved in child sex trafficking and were recently arrested. To this day, I still don't talk to strangers. I'm 17 now, going on 18, but I don't think it's something I'm ever going to get over. I'm so glad my mum taught me not to get into a stranger's car. So, creepy car guy? Let's not meet again. Number 2. Me and a few friends decided to go to a little place to camp for a while. It was me and 2 others, and we were staying in a log cabin. Now, this log cabin had 2 beds, so either 2 of us would sleep together, or one of us had to sleep somewhere else. I didn't really care where I slept, so I let them sleep in the beds, while I tried to find a comfortable place to sleep. I wandered around a bit, and found a decently clean place to sleep near a closet. So I put down my blanket and a pillow on top. Then I laid down and put another blanket on top of me. This was not the most luxurious bed, but I could still sleep in it. I noticed a horrible smell coming from the closet, but couldn't be bothered moving or checking it out, so I just fell asleep. The next day, we decided to go for a walk in the nearby woods, so we grabbed some food and water and headed off. There was a small dirt path leading into the woods, so we followed that. It led us to a small brick building. We found that kind of weird, but being stupid and trying to be brave, we wanted to explore it. We went around it looking for an entrance or something, when we found a rusty metal door bolted shut. We tried for a while to open it, but it wouldn't budge, so we gave up and decided to keep walking along the path. We didn't find much else, so we decided to go back to the cabin. When we got back, the smell from the closet was even worse, so we decided to check it out. We were horrified at the discovery of 2 dead bodies lying in the closet. We booked it out of there and drove back home. We asked the people who owned it about the bodies and about the weird brick place, and they were confused but checked the place out. When they got back to us, they said that they found the brick place open and weird scribbles and scratches on the walls of the place. They also found a letter that seemed to be a confession. It said that he was going to kill the people living in the cabin if they didn't get out soon. That explained the 2 bodies. But the letter kept going. But it seemed recent. It explains that the guy found out we were staying there and had a plan to kill us as well. But luckily, we got out quick and they caught the guy. So, to the weird, crazy psycho who wanted to kill us, let's not meet.
Number 1.
I used to work for a big box retailer. I was, at the time, a cashier. Pretty much everyone starts as a cashier. The only job below cashier is cart pusher, which was only ever given to teenage boys or older men who were either officially mentally disabled or strongly suspected to be. I'm not trying to be an arsehole about it, I'm just painting the picture. One of these guys was Marvin. Nothing officially amiss, but he certainly seemed to have a problem with not making your skin crawl. He was tubby and greasy and smelled like a bag of long forgotten gym clothes and empty McDonald's wrappers. You could write it off as hygienically challenged, but that wouldn't explain the way he seemed to relish making others uncomfortable. Each female cashier had their own version of harassment. Mine was his habit of sneaking up behind me and saying hi and then saying my name afterwards in a long, drawn out sing-song voice. I'd ask him not to do it, told him not to do it, and eventually moved on to ignoring. All to no avail. Anyway, he disappeared, and the reason why showed up in the newspapers and gossip circles soon after. It turns out that he was busted as a contributing member of a child porn ring. Contributing as in he not only traded and consumed child pornography, but also produced it by way of his toddler daughter. I could make some jokes about how shocking it was to discover that he was actually married and produced a child, but it's just too gross. The man was a walking, talking red flag that no one paid attention to because he was so obvious. So obvious, it was assumed it was a disability. I'm saying this as the mum of a kid with a mental disability. It's no excuse for harassment or inappropriate behaviour. It's okay to notice and report when someone is behaving strangely. Virtually every cashier was bothered by him, but Human Resources made it out like we were the bad guys. I saw him maybe a year or so later, waiting outside Human Resources holding some paperwork. He seemed cleaner and more self-aware. He didn't say anything to me, or anyone else, or make eye contact. I think the only reason he behaved the way he did before is because he assumed people would feel too sorry for him not to let him get away with it. Well, anyway guys, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed, then please leave a like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have any of your own stories which you would like to be shared, then please make sure to contact me and you may be featured in a future video. Anyway, I hope to see you soon, and I will speak to you later.